Good afternoon or evening, everyone. Ripper here. We're going to change pace today and talk about a different case. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information today. And tomorrow afternoon, I will do a live stream and we are going to dive into this case. We're going to talk about this case because I've got some information about this case that people need to know about. Now, I came across this case because Nosy Rin tagged me in a post on Facebook. It could have been 2 months ago by now. And then I think a week before Christmas, someone else tagged me in a Facebook group regarding this case. So you can Google or search, however you do it, Nicole Baukus. It's a horrific case, horrible case, or accident, or manslaughter. 2 people were killed. You have a drunk driver that was driving on the wrong side of a highway, and you have a head-on collision in which 2 young people were killed. It doesn't matter if they were young or old, it's 2 people. And then another that was injured. There were 3 people in the car that was going the right way. Nicole was in the vehicle going the wrong way. And her alcohol limit, from reading media reports, was 3 times the legal limit. Now, when you read the reports on this stuff, like right here, this part right here where it says about, has her name, says she's convicted of 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter from accident in 2012, and it says she was driving intoxicated. Says she pled guilty to the charges and was sentenced to 38 years in prison. Now, you might be asking, well, Ripper, she pled guilty, so what are you looking into this case for? She pled guilty. And if you go read the media reports and everything, everybody says she was the driver. She was convicted and she pled guilty. Here's what you don't know. She was so drunk, she doesn't even remember. She was blackout drunk. She doesn't even remember that night. Now, she might remember details after she was told about certain things. You know how sometimes you might not remember something and someone starts refreshing your memory and you might remember bits and pieces of things. But she could not remember that night. She was so drunk. And if you go and you research and you look up videos, there's some videos of her at a bar that night where she is really drunk. And she's walking out of the bar and she's staggering. And she had no business driving. And she got in her truck and drove away from the bar. So it looks like she was drunk. There's video of her getting in her truck and leaving the bar. And then there's a wreck and 2 people are dead. And she pled guilty. Looks pretty simple, correct? But it's not. Now, I'm going to show you, whenever I got tagged the second time in this Facebook group, I saw a video. And I'm going to show you the video here. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about some information that I have, that I was given about this case. And I don't think she was the driver. I actually think she was framed. I think she was framed. I'm not 99% sure. I'm 100% sure she was framed and she was not the driver. And tomorrow I'm going to show you stuff. I'm going to play some audio recordings from law enforcement that was at the accident. I'm going to show you some affidavits of witnesses who were there. And I think when we're done talking about this, I think most of you will agree with me that this girl was framed. So let me show you this video. And this video does not have everything in it. It's got a few things in there. But it's what caught my attention. Let me get this over here. All right. It's a YouTube channel called Free Nicole Baukus. Now, if you look, there's only 124 subscribers. So go to the channel, hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up if you want. You don't have to, but it's free. I'm going to play this video. And there's some things in this video that when I saw it, I thought, whoa, 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 what? So let's watch this. All right, there's Nicole there. All right, they're talking about these shoes and a bloody sock that had been planted at the scene. Let me pause this real quick here. This is the dash cam of the officer, the first officer who arrived there. Now you see this happened in 2012, almost 10 years ago. That's Nicole over there on the right here. Let me get this large screen here. All right, that's her right there. And it looks like she has shoes on. There's something on her feet that's white. There's no doubt in my mind that she's got shoes on. Let me keep playing here. Here's a zoom or blow up of the picture. I mean, she is wearing a white shirt. There's a bar video out there that shows her wearing a white shirt and these white shoes. So it's definitely wearing a white shirt and looks like she's wearing white shoes. Now, the first officer, I don't know if his name is Rivers or Rivers. He was the first one that pulled up. It was his dash cam there that we just saw. And it says here, 6 minutes after he arrives, he turns off his dash cam. Now, if you're investigating a crash, and one person was, I think, killed instantly. The other one of the witnesses said, was still alive. There were 3 people in a vehicle. 2 of them ended up dying, but one was dead. The other was still breathing. The other one was really struggling, but they lived. And then there was Nicole. You see that? 6 minutes after he arrives, he turns off his dash cam. If you're investigating an accident with fatalities, you don't turn off your cameras. You leave everything running. You want to capture as much as possible for the case. When there's people that have been killed, you want as much information as possible. And if you can get video, that's the best evidence you can have. He shuts off the dash cam. Makes 0 sense. And then we see here less than 2 minutes later, they find her shoes in the driver's area of the truck. And if you look right here, there's a shoe right here. You can see this shoe here. There's another shoe right over here. You can see that. And then you see a bloody sock right there. So there's a shoe here, a shoe over here, and a bloody sock. This is the driver's airbag right here. So if she was wearing shoes when he pulled up, how did those shoes get there? How did that happen? You can read this. She had the shoes on when he rolled up. 6 minutes later, turns off the video. Then they supposedly find these shoes in the floorboard. Police pictures then show the find and document it. And then, number 5, prosecution uses that as the sole evidence of Nicole being the driver, along with the contamination from the bloody sock being planted. Something's off. I mean, when I watched this video, I thought something's definitely off, because to me it seems like she had her shoes on. And we'll keep going. This video is not very long, just another minute and a half. All right, a clip from his affidavit, because this did go to trial, but she ended up pleading guilty at some point in the trial. But at the trial, he testified that she was wearing her right shoe that matched the one he found in the truck. So if he saw her wearing her right shoe, then how did they both get wedged in the truck? And then the last thing here says that he was not aware that his car camera captured her wearing both shoes. Which I could understand if he didn't review his dash cam and you didn't really pay attention, you might not see that she was wearing shoes. It's something that would be easy to overlook. But in trial, he said she had one shoe on. So this is a great question. How did both shoes get put in that truck? And then this part, I'll just read the highlighted stuff. You guys can pause it if you want to read more. It says she was wearing one shoe at the time, which was white. And then we go down to the second highlighted part. At some point during my assessment of the scene, I saw in the pickup a white shoe on the driver's side floorboard. This shoe matched, This shoe matched the single shoe Baukus was wearing on her right foot. And he says he doesn't specifically remember whether or not he saw a bloody sock at that point. But my recollection was better at the time I testified during the trial, and I defer to that. All right, so this is after the trial. This is, I'd have to go back to see what this was for. But basically, it must be another hearing. There has to be another hearing or something for him to say, for him to say my testimony at trial, or is he talking about his report? Hold on here. Was better at the time I testified during. So this would have been at a later date. So there might have been some questioning of some sort. Something happened. But instead of him answering any questions, all he's going to do is say, whatever I said at trial is what I'm going to say now. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever I said at trial, that's what I'm sticking to. So maybe I missed something on the previous screen as to what this is about. But this is odd as well. Because we know there were two shoes in the driver's side. And some might be saying, well, maybe it was just one of her shoes and someone else's shoes. Well, if it's someone else's shoes, whose shoes are they? And the prosecutors say they're her shoes. In their reports, they say they're her shoes. So they can't go back and say they're someone else's shoes. All right, so they have had experts that came in and said that she was not barefoot. Those are the same shoes that she was wearing at the bar. He did testify, the officer did testify that she had her right shoe on. 3, they were not tossed in by EMS or anyone else. They were wedged under the pedals to make it look like Nicole was driving. They did look like they were shoved in there. So this is a video that I saw, and I thought something's off, odd. So I reached out to someone, and I ended up getting contacted by one of the attorneys helping Nicole. And I talked to them. And then on Christmas Eve, him and I talked for about an hour and a half on Christmas Eve evening. And that's when my eyes really got opened up. That's when I was told about so much more, about how the judge had to step down a few years ago to avoid being prosecuted for some other stuff. That's when I learned about witnesses at the scene, and there were audio recordings and this and that. And I have the audio recordings. And we're going to play them tomorrow during the live. And I have affidavits from the witnesses at the scene. And I'm going to show you those tomorrow. And I think after you hear these audio recordings and you see these affidavits from witnesses at the scene, I believe that you all are going to be just as upset as I was, because you've got someone in prison that should not be in prison. But worse than that, you have a family out there that had 2 people die and they haven't gotten justice yet. Putting the wrong person in prison is not justice. That's a slap in the face to the victims and the victims' family members. It's a big slap in the face, and it's not justice whatsoever. Anyway, I'll put a link to this video down below. I'm also going to put a link that goes to the parole board, because Nicole is coming up for parole shortly. And the link is very easy. You just hit the link, and all you have to do is put in your email address and like your zip code and a phone number, and it generates the letter for you to the parole board. If you want to support Nicole getting out on parole, I did it because I think she's been wrongfully convicted. Was she drunk? Yes. Did she leave the bar driving? Yes. Was she driving, though, when the wreck happened? I do not think so. I don't think so. And I believe when you all hear the audio recordings from the scene of the wreck, I think you will understand why I'm telling you she was not the driver. And when you see the affidavits, I also think you will agree she was not the driver. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow afternoon. I will go live, and we will go through this stuff, and I would assume it will take a couple of hours. I don't know. If you're not busy tomorrow afternoon, free up your afternoon, and let's see if we can help someone and help some people. Until tomorrow, I'm Ripper, and after that, I'll also be Ripper. But I'm out until tomorrow. Peace.